So, how does it feel when you play Roll Up to Win with Tim Hortons? Buy a hot or cold beverage using the Tim's app and find out. Roll in the app for a chance to win prizes ranging from free coffee and donuts to a Universal Orlando resort vacation or a sweet car. Oh, don't forget the TV. And this year, every roll is a shot at a $1,000 daily giveaway drawing for two $500 prizes. Roll up to win and get treated by Tim's. No purchase necessary. Account registration required. 50 U.S. and D.C. 18 plus entered by 4223. See rules at rolluptowin.com for free entry and full details. Void in Florida and where prohibited.
Welcome to the Hypothalamic Amenorrhea podcast. I'm Dani Sheriff, your host, certified fertility awareness practitioner, functional nutrition counselor, and founder of the HA Society, and of course, an HA recovery coach who has walked where you currently are walking. This is the place to come if you care about getting your period regularly. This podcast aims to educate, inform, and keep you motivated on your period and HA recovery track. So let's dive in. But last thing, nothing on the show should be taken as medical advice, so please seek the advice of your physician. All right. Listen up. If you are listening to this right now, you're hearing my voice in your ears in this very second. The Holistic HA Practitioner certification is open for enrollment right now. Yes. So if you're feeling the call to work with women with amenorrhea, to get their periods back, to help them get pregnant, optimize their fertility, this is the course for you. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, Dani, this is a podcast for people with amenorrhea. True. This certification is not going to be for all of you. This certification is going to be for those of you who really feel that call, that the call that I had, the call that Ashley had, to make a change and fill the gap that the healthcare practitioners, the nutrition coaches, the health coaches, the fitness coaches haven't been able to do for us. So if you are a health practitioner, if you are a fitness instructor, a personal trainer, a nutritionist, or if you aspire to work with women with amenorrhea in the way that we do, then you are the person that this is for. And it really takes a lot of the time people who have been through it to come out the other side and help the others go through it too, right? So if that happens to be you, maybe you're a few cycles in, maybe you are recovered, or maybe you're on your journey, but you can already tell, like, yeah, this is the change that I want to make, then yeah, the Holistic HA Practitioner certification is for you. Or maybe you know the healthcare practitioner in your circle who needs this information, or the personal trainer or the nutritionist in your sphere that needs this information. Pass the link on it. Not only are you going to have these skills and the tools that you need to actually feel confident as a coach and confident to go out there and actually help women and make a difference, but you're going to have the credentials too. This is an accredited course with the International Practitioners of Holistic Medicine. And Ashley and I are so excited to be launching the very first cohort of this. This means it's the best time to join the certification because you're going to get in the ground level. And the first 48 hours, we're doing the early bird pricing. You're going to want to get in on this. Do not delay. Check it out. thehasociety.com/certification. The Holistic HA Practitioner certification is going to be awesome, and we cannot wait to work directly with you to make you the best HA coach that you can be. See you there. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Hypothalamic Amenorrhea podcast.
Hey.
We are coming to you with a topic I have been meaning to get us to chat about for forever. Surely we've talked about it before, but maybe we haven't. And I think maybe just because it's a really loaded topic. But we're talking about digestive challenges in recovery.
Yes. This is a big topic And I think if anybody who is considering coaching, this is something that like you don't need to be an expert in. There are plenty of experts. You should have some expert friends, no doubt. Expert friends in the digestive health arena. Get you some friends. This is the importance of like networking. But almost every client that I've had has some level of digestive challenges related to HA, and I was one of them as well. Like massive. I mean, I don't even know if I could thoroughly recap the strange issues that I had. And again, I say all the time, if like I would have gone to the doctor, I don't know what I would have been diagnosed with, but I know I would have been walking out with some either IBS, IBD, something. And not saying that those diagnoses aren't real, but what I'm saying is like, that's how severe my symptoms were. So severe.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, to that point, right? IBS is a general term for like, yeah, I mean, you do have an irritated bowel, but why? Why? What's happening? How do we resolve it? And one of the reasons it's really hard to do a podcast episode on digestive issues is that is a term that broadly covers a lot of things. A lot of things, everything from, ulcerative colitis through to just like bad gas.
To just intense bloating.
Pain. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Intense bloating. It's just, it is very loaded. And so therefore to say that like, here is the step-by-step in order to address IBS would be so foul in so many ways, just because it covers so much. But I do think it is a catch-all for the symptoms that women experience with HA. And then if like you don't know that the root cause is HA, you're going to spend so much time, money chasing these symptoms. And then there are
like
some
whack-a-mole. It's really like whack-a-mole.
Yes. And then there are some people, I just want to put this out there before we dive in. Like there are some people who have had digestive issues before HA, and then it has gotten significantly worse, like amplified by like 1,000 due to the hormonal changes that happen due to HA that do impact the gut. And so we see that as well. And hence why my like original statement was, you're most likely going to experience coaching somebody with digestive issues. It's just, you know what I mean?
Like I don't, if you're a coach. Yeah. No, totally. So this is, this episode is great for anyone who is working with women going through recovery. If you were going through recovery and you're curious about digestive issues. So what we're not going to, like Ashley said, go through like a step-by-step, because that's not how it works. But what we can do is go through sort of the common resistance that digestive issues maybe cause, how to coach yourself through them or coach others through it. And just like a bit of, I don't know, what do you think about a bit of a background into why they're happening? Like what we know some digestive issues are caused by, and why it's a self-feeding process, and you got to start healing, you got to start recovery in order to get kind of to make progress with your digestive issues, versus what a lot of people try to do, which is resolve their digestive issues before they recover, which makes sense, right? You're like, oh, I have to eat more and gain weight. Well, I can't do that. I have digestive issues. So it's really valid. Totally valid. So it's scary. There are just some challenges to consider, or some things to consider going in, but it doesn't mean you can't do it.
Well, I also think that, and this is where it gets tricky. So I don't want anyone to take this and be like, oh, they're just oversimplifying the issue and my issue isn't real, or my confusion or my frustration isn't real. No. Let's just be so clear that we're talking about one aspect of it. This is a whole thing. This is like a whole thing. But one of the other parts that can get really confusing is that there is evidence, no doubt, that hormonal issues start in the gut. And so therefore women believe that they have to solve their gut issues before they can restore ovulation. And I say that with like, guys, this is not a blanket statement. However, women who have hypothalamic amenorrhea are stuck in a very vicious cycle when it comes to hormonal like restoration and digestive issues, where at some point you can get so far down the rabbit hole that you can feel like it's like a self-feeding cycle. And you're like, how do I exit it so I can make progress on either one or the other? Right. So we're not sitting here saying that that's a whole bunch of crap. You don't have to do that. But what I am saying is that we would want to aim to restore ovulation so that you have estrogen and progesterone flowing through your body, including your gut, to see how much that solves. And then once you've been cycling for 3 to 6 months, see what else is left over, and then take that to an expert, because at least we have the low-hanging fruit addressed, solved, handled, and now we know it's not related to a lack of estrogen and progesterone. That's just kind of my thought with that. What do you think?
No, like there are so many things that we cannot get to without starting with recovery, like without period recovery. It's just like I don't know, like a big iron gate in the way of being able to even touch these other issues. It's like you can't skip them, you can't go around the side and like enter in through the back entrance to try and resolve those problems without having healthy functioning hormones. It's just like other symptoms like hair loss and acne, you know, we find there it's this answer kind of goes with those as well. Like we need to start there in order to see how much it resolves.
Oh, I love that you said that. So I follow, a shout out to this chick who I'm totally fangirling about. There's two people who I'm currently fangirling about, Robin and Jennifer. But anyways, Robin, who I can't even say.
Has Robin do we have her coming into the HA Society?
Yes, we do. We have her booked, and I'm about to just sit there and like.
When's her event?
A million notes. I think it's next month. Let me double check.
Okay.
But I'm super pumped about that. So anyways, I bring that up because she also runs the skincare lab, and she also, what's the name of the supplement? I use it. I love it. I'm obsessed. Ravy. I can't ever say it right. Ravy. Anyways, this is, we don't get any money, but this is simply, I love this supplement. My face has not been any better. Anyways, moving on. But she talks about all the time, but that the foundations for good skin is first eating enough and balanced blood sugar levels, because we know that supports hormones. My whole point to this is, I'm not, again, with like the skin, I'm not saying that you don't have a unique skin situation, but what I am saying is that we have to handle the low-hanging fruit for any of the other protocols to be effective and or supplements to be,
and because you might have an exasperated issue due to your hormonal imbalance or your blood sugar imbalance, and we just like wouldn't, you know, it could be a 30% chunk of the issue, it could be an 80% chunk of it could be 100%. Like everything is different and unique, and you have to address it first.
And so, I mean, from someone who sells a supplement, for them to be like, look, these are the basic things that have to be in place, you know what I mean, for this to be effective. And that's the only reason why I even take it, because I know that I'm eating enough. I know that I'm doing my balanced blood sugar levels, and therefore that's why I am.
I watch a lot of YouTube. I don't know if you do. I get crazy ads, supplement ads. There's this one, but I'm not even going to say the brand because that's not the right thing to do, but they're like,
nice.
They're like, this is my favorite vegan non-toxic beauty product ever. And, you know, my hair was totally falling out. And after using this product, this is my hair now. And I'm like, nowhere.
Yeah.
You know, and all of these sort of advertisements that are basically saying, like, taking the responsibility away from ourselves and the power away from ourselves, and saying, like, this problem you have is just happening to you, and this product is a solution. And it's like, no, all of this is, you know, in some way addressable, at least most of the way, by us. And if that's difficult to hear, okay.
Yeah. So what kind of brought this all up was that I was just digging into the simple fact that estrogen and progesterone are throughout our body. Like, I was chatting with Dani. I was listening to a functional nutrition. So I'm like, oh gosh, I didn't even know that existed. What is this about? Right. So I went down this like rabbit hole. Anyways, and I've heard this before and I've seen this before from other women who get pregnant, but their teeth shift. I'm like, this is wild.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is wild. Like, why are people's teeth shifting? Like what? Like,
Bones.
Progesterone, which relaxes, you know what I mean? And it was talking about that's why women's teeth shift from pregnancy and all these different things. I'm like, oh my gosh. And obviously, like, relaxin as well too, you know what I mean? All these things in order to, to make a way for baby. I was just like, oh my gosh. But it got me thinking, oh my gosh, those receptors are also in our mouth too. It's not just only located in our vagina or uterus.
Yeah. That makes
You know
sense.
what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's everywhere.
It's
Yeah.
everywhere. And so I was like, interesting. I wonder what the connection with estrogen and progesterone is when it comes to digestion, because it's not just in our ovaries. We know that estrogen's in our brain. We know that, all these things, like, we know that all these things exist, but we don't ever think about it as it's all over our body for some reason whenever we talk about hormones. And because we're focusing on one thing, I think, unfortunately, the listener, me, everybody thinks that it's only located in like the uterus. Long story short, I got on this like research digging of how is it connected to the gut, and to find out that progesterone plays such an important role. And I'm going to read off these words, and anybody with IBS, IBD, Crohn's is like, those words mean something to me, right? It doesn't really mean anything to people who potentially who don't have chronic digestive issues. But when I read this off, you're going to be like, stop it, right? So mobility, the simple fact that progesterone affects your mobility, moving through the intestines. Someone who is constipated is like, yes, excuse me, I can sense that. I feel that. I just feel like I'm backed up. I'm struggling to poop. Like, I'm eating, but it's not coming out. And so that's what we hear a lot of times. I'm so uncomfortable. How can I possibly eat more if I am like not pooping and I'm bloated? That's valid. That is uncomfortable. That is so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, no one wants to keep eating when nothing's coming out and you feel like it's just like a car wreck, like no one's moving, or like it's like bumper to bumper traffic in like your digestive tract. Sorry, you know what I mean?
Know.
So talking about it induces relaxation in the smooth muscle. I have one client specifically, they found in her colonoscopy that everything was kind of like fine, but at the very end of her colon, it was really, really tense and tight. And therefore it was really hard for her to have a bowel movement. And I'm like, wow, my goodness, that sucks. You know what I mean? For like the very end of your colon to be the part where like there, you know what I mean? Which is like, that's what we need in order to have a proper bowel movement. Like, we need to have that relaxation all the way through, which really interests me in the vagus nerve, but that's a whole other vibe that I'm like digging into. But progesterone alleviates the hormones around there. I'm just telling you, it's just, therefore it induces relaxation.
Yeah, that's an interesting twist on it, right? But that makes perfect sense. And another thing to consider for those who don't have, necessarily chronic digestive issues, but maybe like still experience constipation, right? Or, eating so many high volume vegetables that you poop liquid, things like that. Like anything happening that's not normal counts, right? As like a digestive issue. And
like you don't care what it's called whenever you can't poop. You're like, I don't effing care what it's called. I just need to poop.
So it's like, well, where do you start with this, right? And this is where, from a coaching perspective, and we're gonna go over this type of thing in the certification.
Mm-hmm.
But you sort of start at the very beginning with the behaviors around food, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because think about how there's the mechanical aspect of digestion. So the first thought of food counts as the beginning of digestion. The preparation of food, you're handling the food, you're cutting the food, you're smelling the food, you're cooking the food, begins to create things like bile, and the salivation process begins, which is what is like starting all the way down the digestive system. And so your stomach starts to growl, it starts to like start the motility, and it begins creating space for the next meal to come. But when we're all eating on the go, when we're eating like tons of pre-prepared meals that are like maybe just out of wrappers and things like that, we're sort of skipping those processes. And so those can be some of the places where the very beginning of like sharp pains in the stomach, or just the feeling of not being hungry come from. Or maybe you have a bowel movement and you can see like, wow, I didn't really digest that food well, or that was painful to get out, or that came out like a little too quickly and a little too runny. Like, how you behave around the food can really matter. And so from a holistic coaching perspective, before you even go down the route of like, okay, well, what's your specific chronic illness, or what's your specific issue, and how can we supplement for it? We start with like, okay, well, how are you behaving around food? What foods are you eating way too much of, not enough of? How quickly are you eating? How much time are you spending with your food? Are you honoring the signal of hunger, or are you setting it off? Like, it can, from a coaching 101 perspective, it starts there. And then how much can that resolve, right? Okay, 2 weeks later, we're seeing improvements here, there. Okay, the next thing, how much does that resolve? The next thing, how much does that resolve? Are you all about DIYing your recovery? Then you'll want to visit our HE Society resource store. We have created a bunch of amazing tools, guides, templates, specifically to help you navigate recovery, find your own blind spots, and track your progress along the way. So you can browse through our store and you will find endless avenues to help you with your unique challenges, from our 100% free Mental Hunger Mindset Mastery workshop to our 7-day recovery kickoff challenge. We also have in-depth, budget-friendly, do-at-your-own pace courses like our Restore program. It's an incredible 10-module recovery guide that comes with access to the HA Society for a full year. The Fertility Awareness for HAs courses, teaching how to use the FAM method to track progress through recovery. The Period Recovery Game Planner, which helps you figure out your blind spots, what is and isn't serving your recovery, what are you not doing that you could be doing to help you move forward, and even journal pages and journal prompts that are designed specifically to help you with body image and mindset throughout recovery. And not only can you access these killer recovery tools from our store, but you can also head there to join the HA Society community, which is open. And by far the most valuable thing you can do for your recovery is to find a support community like this. The HA Society gives you access to live community calls multiple times a week, mini courses, and a full private podcast playlist for you to catch the replay of every single community call and get all of the HA podcast episodes early. So visit our resource store today. Take advantage of all of the tools to help you fast track your DIY recovery journey. I guarantee there's something in there specifically fitting for you that will help you on your way. So you can go to thehasociety.com/store. And now on with the show.
Yeah. And to your point about that, honestly, I think we overestimate our ability to handle stress when like realistically, I don't think that we'll ever have a full concept of how stress impacts us subconsciously and even to the systems such as digestion, breaking down food, absorption, moving through the GI tract, pooping, just like all these things that like are done without our assistance, right? Because they're like automatic. But even though like we can't, control it ourselves, we can absolutely interfere with it. You know what I mean? And I think that that's something that's really interesting. Okay, so I had found what it is that progesterone does. It elevates the nitric oxide synthesis, which induces relaxation, which is, again, anybody who has extensive digestive tract, you're like, yes, I need the relaxation and the smooth muscle in order to have a bowel movement. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things where it's like, guys, progesterone plays such an important role that we cannot put it in a vacuum and think it doesn't have a system-wide effect, right? And then the last one is that it decreases inflammatory cytokines in the digestive tract, which again, anybody who is dealing with inflammatory issues when it comes to digestive issues are like, yeah, I would like a little bit of some progesterone to like help reduce that naturally. And so I just think it's one of those things of, yeah, that like as you work to restore ovulation, we actually don't know what else these hormones have their fingers in as well, right? Like I like to think of it as like a tree with roots, and the roots are going all different directions, and it touches all the different places of the earth, and it touches other things and other organisms and other parts of like the like ecosystem that it would be really foolish for us to think that estrogen and progesterone only benefit us in our reproductive system.
Absolutely. And you had mentioned like we don't fully even understand the impact that stress has. And I mean, we sometimes doubt it so much. It's like I doubt it's stress. I doubt it's emotional. I doubt, it's like it's definitely something more like that I'm just super allergic to or can't tolerate or whatever. It's like, well, look at animals and dogs, right? We've all had a nervous dog diarrhea all over our house.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If you have a dog, you see how their stress impacts their digestive issue. And we all can agree that that's happening with them. So it's definitely happening with us. And just funnily enough, y'all, as 2 days ago on Monday, I actually released a bonus episode called How Stress Affects the Body. It's the audio of the YouTube video. So yeah, it's the audio of a YouTube video that I posted. So it's either on YouTube, and it's the bonus episode before this, where I go through just like, hey, high level science, here's literally what happens in a chronic stress cycle and an acute stress cycle. And you see that at one point, the body shuts down non-essential functions. And this is smart and this is clever in both acute and chronic stress to help you manage. But how many of us are living in that state? So the goal of that is for you just to hear how it works so that you can like contextualize what's happening with the hypothalamus and the pituitary and the adrenals. And then you're like, oh, okay, I can see how I might be running that particular process constantly, a 20-minute process from start to finish constantly throughout my day, and how it now makes sense that I can't poop.
Absolutely. I have this great case study that I'm building, and I'm excited to release to all you guys. We're going to do a different version of like case studies, really like data heavy, along with like what exactly worked, what was, for this particular situation. And for this particular client, we had to address stress, and this is not new. Like, we're not like coming out like, and here's the secret. Like, we had to address stress from like the nutritional standpoint. So nutritional stress being too low carb, stress in not believing in her body, like that constant story of I'm broken, I'm heading into menopause, like, like there's no point in doing this, like, like everything about my body can't be trusted, to being really unhappy in her job. And whenever we addressed all three, this chick has been successfully pooping for 80 plus days, which is she's never done before. And to somebody who deals with chronic constipation and has gone so far as to do like a really strict low FODMAP, a way of eating, you know what I mean? And has thought that that was the answer, to now being able to increase her carbs significantly and being able to poop. It's really taking her time to be like, oh my gosh, it wasn't the FODMAP that saved me. It was the very carbs that I was avoiding, along with addressing stress in so many different ways. And so now she's on the other side, she's a couple cycles in, and now we're having to realize, okay, because we've been hypersensitive to bloating, and we think any amount of bloating is not normal and should not happen, and that means that there's something that there's wrong. Now we're trying to look at it from a different lens of like, okay, my body does know what she's doing. She's capable. She works. I can trust her in this area too. And always be like, okay, what is normal bloating and what is bloating that is actually something that we should look into, right? And really, but that requires us to be observational instead of judgmental in these next few cycles, to see, okay, what is normal for you? What is, you know what I mean? What is not, type of thing. And plus
it absolutely is an investigation process.
Absolutely.
There absolutely is no way of looking at someone and being like, oh, okay, it's this. No, we have to dig deep. We have to see your behaviors, your emotions, your history, and then look literally at your symptoms. How are you reacting? And start systematically making changes and observing improvements. And it's a lot of work, right? So it's like, massive respect for people who have say enough is enough, and I'm undertaking this process, and I'm going to get my health back. Because it's, every single day, every single meal, every single time you go to the bathroom, it's like digestive issues on top of trying to get your period back at the same time together is no small thing. And so people absolutely need support. So if you're a coach, like, you have to have massive compassion. You have to be very encouraging. You have to explain what we're doing, what we're looking for, how long this type of thing might take, what to expect, being absolutely realistic. And then as a client or as somebody going through this, we don't recommend you do that kind of thing alone. Like, have support, have a doctor who gets it and you trust, and isn't just like, well, you take like a laxative every day. Isn't just like, here's something to manage your symptoms, but is like, okay, let's get to the bottom of why this is happening, and from a root cause perspective.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing to remember is just kind of like the benefits of progesterone that I just shared is we can't get that benefit until we ovulate. And that is why working towards ovulation and digestive health, it's not exactly separate tracks. It's really not, like, we're going in the same direction. And so I think that's one of those things. Okay, well, what would be the worst case scenario of working on restoring your ovulation while working towards digestive health? Would be, oh, now you have progesterone. Now you have estrogen and progesterone, and now your body can start functioning properly with these hormones. That's not, you know what I mean? I don't see how that puts you at risk for anything, you know what I mean? And obviously this is not a blanket statement for anybody, you know what I mean? And honestly, I think that, like we haven't really touched on it quite yet, but there's a lot of uh food fear that comes with individuals. So now we have to add that whole thing, is that like we have like, like we're convinced, and now we believe that this particular food will absolutely derail us, and you know what I mean? And so now we have to actually retry some of those foods now that you are restored, to see if that is still the case. Like, is that still true? Or was this like a crazy mix of mental stress, emotional stress, digestive stress, hormonal stress, and then you ate that food and then your body was like, yeah, we're not doing it, right? So like there is this place of, once you're restored, kind of going back and being like, okay, well, I thought I couldn't have milk. And I'm not saying go sit there and like drink an entire milkshake, but what I am saying is, let's try some butter. You know what I mean? Like, how does that go?
Yeah.
How does some
Yeah.
grass-fed butter go? You know what I
This
mean?
is why I'm
Okay.
such a big fan of pushing like higher fat content animal products.
Yes.
It's such an easy way to get nutrition and lubrication into
Yeah.
the digestive system.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I think that's just one of those things of, I'm not saying that recover and everything will be better. No, we've worked with too many women to know that you do have significant digestive issues, but let's
Mm.
solve what we can together, and then let's refer you out to someone within our network who that we trust, who is knowledgeable about HA. You know what I mean? So that like they don't put you on such a strict protocol that you wind up back in HA because you are eating like 2 or 5 different foods. You know what I mean? I think that's really interesting as well too, is that sometimes um people in the women's hormone space, in digestive space, like just don't talk, and then therefore it can really be just frustration for the client in general. So just being
Yeah.
mindful of who you refer them to, like you like, do they value hormonal health? Are they knowledgeable about what happens whenever you undereat, and recommend that someone starts fasting? You know what I mean? Like, like, do they take in consideration how this might create disordered eating? You know what I mean? And so one of the things that I really liked that Dani and I went to last year was reconnect and restore. And every one of those practitioners, even though like they were in their different fields, understood that whenever you create strict protocols, you have to be mindful of the emotional and mental impact that has on the client. Because yes, like you could solve their gut issues, and now they're walking away with like disordered eating, or like an eating disorder, and now like, not saying that their gut issues aren't healed, but I'm sure they're going to now have gut issues again. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
just really important, and that's why we're really picky and choosy about who we recommend out to and stuff.
Yeah. Ah, good stuff. I don't know, guys. I
Yeah.
hope that this was helpful. Again, it's a really loaded topic, but if the only thing you kind of walk away with today is, you have to start working on recovery in order to heal digestion versus the other way around, and that there is absolutely evidence to show that, you know, most of your digestive issues can be alleviated, at least to some degree. And if you are chronically dieting and under exercising and you don't have hormones being produced, like that's actually the issue. And it's not just that you were born that way. Like, it's just not. And I know that can be like really hard to hear for some people who have just been like, this is me. I just have IBS, I get it, but we
Yeah,
believe in you.
and really this holds, even like hits home, should be hitting home, if all of a sudden you have random food sensitivities pop up and become extreme. It's not just because you turned 30. Okay. You know what I mean? If like this kind of comes out of the blue, meaning you did not have digestive issues before, and they have popped up along with your journey, with your HA journey, Like, this is a bigger sign for you that this is strongly connected. You didn't go 30 years being able to like have butter and then all of a sudden now you can't. Something happened.
Yeah. Something definitely happened. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining Ashley and I. Listen, enrollment for the holistic HA practitioner certification is open. It's open all of this month. You have the ability to chat with Ashley or I, book a discovery call to see if becoming a coach is right for you, if taking this certification is right for you. In an upcoming episode, I think a couple weeks from now, what am I going to do? What are we going to do here? March 15th, Ash, we're going to answer the question, how do you know if you're ready to become a coach? But you can have that conversation with us. Go to the website and get download the syllabus, check it out, learn about the certification, what we're going to cover. The certification is accredited. The certification is going to look awesome on your resume, but more importantly, it's going to give you all of the tools and skills and, quite frankly, the framework that Ashley and I use with our clients, including our clients with digestive issues, including our clients with, what other issues? All the issues, Ash.
I mean, I just wrote all the issues. I mean,
yes.
You know what I mean? And
it's funny. It's like the digestive issue is just such a huge one, but restoring relationships with food, restoring relationships with exercise, restoring relationships with mindful eating and with your body, all at the same time as being able to use science, evidence-based information, the fertility awareness method, all of those things to actually make legitimate protocols and get actual results for your clients, not just getting on a call with someone and encouraging them to eat more, but like, actually, hey, this is why, this is how, and we're going to give you that framework and all of the soft skills you need to help people who are in a really difficult stage make change and make meaningful change.
Right. Yeah. And sign up for our newsletter. We're going to be dropping nuggets, weekly nuggets that will be found in the certification and how the certification will expound upon it. So if that is kind of your vibe, no fluff nuggets.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If you're thinking about becoming, getting into coaching or just opening up your practice or what you talk about to HA a bit more, just get on the newsletter, because we are sharing more educational nuggets around different aspects of HA and the body and hormones, and you can just kind of like get in on those bits of knowledge. So that's free. Just head to the HAsociety.com. Maybe still like sign up to get the syllabus, because then that will put you straight on the wait list for the program, and then that means that you will get all of the emails. So that's a good way to do it. We appreciate you guys. This was fun. Have a good day.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening today, guys. Please subscribe to the podcast, and if you could head to iTunes specifically and leave a rating or review, that would help so much, because it makes it easier for other people with HA who are Googling around to find the podcast really easily. So if you do that, you're doing a service to all of the women